Kel-Tec, have you heard of them? Yes? No? Well, for those of you who have not heard about Kel-Tec, let me describe them for you. Imagine a big, happy family photo. Kel-Tec would be that kid that marches to the beat of his own drum. Yeah, that kid. Jokes aside, Kel-Tec is an American firearms manufacturer that, for better or worse, constantly innovates in the design space with unique takes on existing firearms. In the airsoft world, there have been Kel-Tec guns in the past, including the PMR-30 pistol from SOCOM Gear, but none are easily recognizable as the awesome-looking KSG, which made a big splash onto the silver screen from the movie John Wick. Kel-Tec has always portrayed themselves as the people's brand, while delivering on firearms that are relatively inexpensive and offer a fair amount of quality out of the box. However, like I said, for better or for worse, they look like this. Or they look like this. Sometimes a hit and a miss, sometimes they hit a home run. So say hello to the RDB by ARES. Some say it's a home run. But is it though? So we've heard that y'all are sick of M4s. So ARES listened to you guys and came up with something completely new. Now before you say, okay, but it's just another Bullpup, keep watching. You may find something that you like. The Kel-Tec RDB is a Bullpup configured rifle that is chambered in 5.56 and is one of Kel-Tec's most popular rifles to date, probably only surpassed by the KSG itself. Looking at both guns, straight away, you're going to know that they are related. They're speaking the exact same design language. And looking at the shape, it even resembles the RDB, and you can make an argument that the KSG is a Bullpup shotgun, as everything happens in the rear where you put your shotgun shells in, just like this Bullpup RDB. Another similarity that you'll see are these square patterns right here. Now they provide a great textured grip surface for you to put your hands where they're supposed to be. They are also much better than some other polymer handguards out there like the G36 that are essentially slick. Though there are similarities, there's also a difference. Now, and that is material. The RDB, much like the real gun, is made out of polymer, whereas the KSG is a ABS plastic gun. So keep that in mind. Another similarity that I want to talk about is how it feels. Shouldering and holding the RDB feels incredibly similar to as if I would shoulder the KSG. And this speaks volumes to the design team at Kel-Tec, making sure transitioning from one platform to the next, you feel so natural. With the difference of some of the control placements, they're essentially the same thing in a different configuration. So big props to Kel-Tec for that. Now let's get to talking about the RDB a little bit more. First thing I want to talk about, guys, is the build quality on this thing is superb. Now I'm just going to hold this thing together and I'm going to rattle this for you. The only rattling you hear are these sling mounts that swivel, and that's it. It's incredibly solid. And talking about sling mounts, this thing has sling mounts up the wazoo. It has one here, swivel sling mount here, this one right here, and also these on the front. So there are 4 on each side, making 8 sling mounts for this whole gun. I don't know who needs 8 different sling mounts, but hey, you can if you want. Another thing I want to talk about is this butt pad. Now, it is not adjustable, but this rubberized texture feels really good. It feels nice in your shoulder and it's nice and concaved. It just sits in there nicely. And this texturing does prevent a lot of slippage. Well done. While we're on the topic of this butt pad, let's talk about how the gun feels in terms of balance. Okay, it is rear heavy. It's a Bullpup. Everything happens back here. So if I just let it loose, it naturally wants to point up. And I'm not doing this on purpose. I'm literally just pushing the gun forward and it naturally wants to tilt upwards. However, when you shoulder it, you don't feel like it's overbearing back here. And it still feels very nimble and highly maneuverable. So ergonomically, this gun feels superb. As previously mentioned, this gun is pretty much a polymer rifle, just like the real one. However, there are a few metal parts, such as the magazine release latch, the trigger, the selector,
top rail,
outer barrel, flash hider, latch assembly, and of course the charging handle itself, as well as the mock gas adjuster up front, and the swivel sling mount. Diving deeper into the RDB, let's talk about it being a bullpup. Now, the bullpup configuration is designed like this because it would like to facilitate a full-length barrel in a compact weapon size. The reason for this is a lot of times when you move through urban environments or close spaces, a longer gun may not be very maneuverable for the operator, and at the same time keeping a decent length barrel for optimized accuracy downrange. Now, in airsoft, much of this does translate. When you play CQB, you do still want a relatively nimble and maneuverable rifle that's not super long in front of you. And its inner barrel starts here and ends right around here, which makes this barrel incredibly long. Look how it compares to a traditional M4. Let's quickly talk about the controls. The fire selector here is kind of HKS in the sense that it does have a paddle and it's shaped, well, kind of similarly. Now, the reason why I want to highlight this is because I've used ARES guns in the past, and their fire selectors, well, they're not terrible, yet when they snap into place, they don't feel very positive. They click into place fine, but because it is a very light click, there are chances where you may over or under select your mode of fire. However, with the RDB, just listen to this. It's really loud, and the feeling is very positive. You feel it in your thumb, and it's very tactile. This is really good. I really enjoy this. It's almost as if it's like a completely mechanical fire selector. Well done. Now, one of the things that I've talked about in times past as to why I don't particularly like bullpups is I don't really enjoy their manual of arms and how you operate the guns. And the biggest gripe I've always had was their magazine release position. There's always some awkward, weird latch or button in this area that kind of, it's just not comfortable to use no matter how you look at it. However, this RDB has an incredibly simple method of magazine release, and it uses this latch right here. You simply pull this back and eject the magazine. This is so simple. And it feels so natural. You put your hand here and your finger just wants to tap it and strip. Tap it and strip. You can even take your hand and bump it backwards and it would drop. Can you imagine doing a speed reload with this thing? It'd be so fast. You know what? I'm going to do just that at gun range 0. And while we're on talking about the magazine release, magazines, well, they're compatible with standard M4 AEG magazines. So if you got a bunch of those laying around, you're in luck. Internally, it is powered by the ARES EFCS, which is tried and tested. Okay, all right, hear me out. I hear a lot of people out there just poo-pooing on this. However, what I'm gonna say is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yes, it may not be the new hotness with all the programmable bells and whistles, but I have to say, it's kind of like the old Camry. It's gonna get you from point A to point B without fail, reliably, every time. So, hats off to ARES with sticking with their guns and using this particular electronic system. Now let's talk about battery and battery placement, and then we're going to move on and talk about the hop-up and where you can find it, our favorite game. You can put the battery in here, in the handguard. Now, how do you do that? You see this pin right here? It's right here. If you rotate it, this part here, you press it out, pull out the pin. It's not retained, so don't lose it. The handguard slides forward a little bit. Oh, don't fight me. There you go. So there's a fair amount of space in here. Let's try and see what batteries work. This is a LiPo.
A few moments later.
The LiPo fits just fine. Now that we've talked about LiPo batteries, let's quickly talk about Titan batteries. Now, sadly, this big single stick 11.1 will not fit. Though there is a fair amount of room inside this handguard, once you put the battery in, it just won't go back onto the gun. However, if you look at something like this nunchuck style, while the longer piece can fit on the recessed area inside, the smaller piece will still get in the way. So what we would suggest is if you want to use a Titan battery, use a 7.4 Titan battery with the single smaller stick, as it fits nicely into the recessed area of the handguard and it will close up just perfectly, like this. While we're on the topic of internals, everything other than the tappet plate and gearbox shells are compatible with ARES M4 AEGs, so kind of version 2 compatible. This thing uses T-plugs or large Deans for some of the people who don't call it T-plugs. Nice and easy for everybody to use. I love just having things unified. For the hop-up, you'll find it right here. It's black. It's very difficult to see on our sample. However, ARES did say for the full release, it'll be a different color, easy for you guys to spot. You can adjust it with a flat head screwdriver. Just make sure it's nice and small. I'm using an 11.1 Titan battery and 0.2 gram BBs. So here we are at gun range 0, and what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about the operation. And earlier I mentioned we're going to talk about reloads specifically. Now, yes, this is probably the easiest to reload bullpup I've ever used. For example, if I just want to strip the magazine and feed it with a new one, I can just go strip, load, just like that. It's incredibly intuitive. If I want to do a speed reload, I take my hand, I bump it backwards, and it'll drop, and I'm going to speed reload like this. So, just like that. Of course, I would be a little bit faster with a little bit more practice, but this is incredibly easy. If I want to do a tactical reload, I would take the magazine out, bump, reload, put my magazine back away, and I'm good to go. An incredibly intuitive platform and easy to use reload system for a bullpup. I'm thoroughly impressed. Now let's do a little bit of shooting. I have an 11.1 LiPo inside the RDB right now. Several targets set up downrange. Before we get into the nitty-gritty accuracy of it, let's see how she shoots. I want to talk about reaction, trigger response, and feeling. That is pretty good. Trigger response is really snappy with an 11.1 inside. Check this out. I am by no means Gambit, but that is really fun. Let's do auto. I'd say it's pretty good. Now we're gonna go into accuracy. So here we are, got the trusty tripod mounted under the RDB. We're gonna do some accuracy tests. I'm gonna take a couple shots first to kind of get my bearings, and then we're gonna really let her go. Let's do this. I shot the target off, but let's go see those results first and we'll keep going. So I'm pretty sure these were the shots that I've made before the target fell off, and down here, these are the ones I made afterwards. I would say accuracy-wise, not bad. We're gonna keep shooting. This time, maybe I won't use a target paper. There's a small little piece of metal in the middle of the target, and let's hit that. The Bullpup configuration with the weight in the rear sits in your shoulder nicely, especially when I have it set up in this tripod. I don't have to put my support hand forward to try to keep it flat or to guide it anyway per se. All I need to do is hold onto the tripod, pull it back into my shoulder a little bit, and it kind of flattens out on its own. And it keeps my aim very steadily. So I'm very surprised at how accurate this gun can be. I'm consistently shooting shots in the center mass, that's the small circle in the middle, and also the smaller one on the head. Not bad. Pretty good. So we know she's a shooter. She's pretty accurate. Trigger response is pretty good. Overall, a fun gun to shoot. But there's one more little surprise that ARES put into this gun that I think is really cool, and that's the charging handle. It serves no purpose than to put a smile on your face, because you can do this. Oh yeah. You can HK slap this charging handle. And it makes you happy. And there's a few more rounds left in this magazine, so what the heck? Let's mag dump full auto downrange. Ooh-wee! Back to the studio. So I've talked about the KSG a lot in this review. If you want to check that one out, click on the card above, or you find the link in the description below. I really enjoyed this one, and may I dare say, it was my favorite TM of all time. And I think it will always be my favorite TM, other than the Type 89. But then this would, you know what? Forget it. Check it out. It's a cool video. The ARES RDB is an excellent rifle, well executed by ARES. Performance was great. Stability, well, it was stable and accurate. However, I can't help but say that it's not a very tactical rifle. I mean, just look at it. There's not even a place for you to mount things on the side of this handguard, and it's a pretty substantially large handguard. All you got is this top rail and bottom rail, and if you mount a larger optic on it, well, that's kind of it for you, unless you mount like a flashlight foregrip, which I don't see anyone nowadays doing that. So I would have to say it's a little bit limited. And not to mention, much like G&P and Sistema, ARES also has a clockwise thread, meaning you're going to have to get a thread adapter to mount anything onto the front of this thing. However, I do think mounting a suppressor to this will be super cool. I'd show you, but since this is a sneak peek and this is a sample from ARES themselves, thank you for providing this to us, ARES, by the way. Huge shout out to you guys. I can't remove the flash hider. However, when you guys get yours, you can put whatever you want on it, and I'm absolutely sure with a suppressor on this thing, sexiness. So like I previously mentioned, this is a sample provided to us from ARES. And with that, I would like to direct all of you to go check out this gun and many more on www.redwolfairsoft.com. And specifically because there are 2 other colors to the RDB, a flat dark earth and a green. And I must tell you, the green is, hot fire. I love it. It looks so nice. But guys, I just want to end it with this. Watching this now, do you think it's a home run? Did it convert you a little? Did it make you feel a little tingle for the Bullpup goodness? I'd have to say, myself, I was this close. I was this close to saying, you know what? Bullpups is pretty good. I would, give the big booty a chance. But then I woke up from my fever dream. It's a great gun, guys. And if you guys are into Bullpups, I'm absolutely sure you'd love this one. And if you want to give it a try, I would say, doesn't hurt. It's one of the better ones out there. I would really hope you take my word for this one. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments section below. And if you thought this video was cool, give us a like. And if you liked it, share it with your friends. If you haven't subscribed yet, click the subscribe button and the notification bell so you know every time we upload a new video. Guys, I'm not going to repeat the website URL one more time, so you know where to go to check out this and many more. Until the next episode, I'll see you next time.